Yeah, I'm actually.
Yeah.
All right, greetings everyone. Welcome to the stream. My name is Andrew. I am the community manager here at Superplus Games. And most of you will know me from, if you've been here watching our Twitch and watching our other videos, you'll be familiar with me already. But today we're actually really excited to be starting a new series here, and it's called Super Insider, where on a monthly basis we're just going to be sitting down with a team member from the company to talk about the different games, the company as a whole, and stuff like that. And I'm super excited to be doing that. And we have our first guest here that's joining us. Why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do at the company, and a little bit about your background.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Aarni. I am the COO and co-founder here at Superplus Games, and thank you so much, Andrew, for kicking this series off and having me as your honored first guest. A little bit about me. So I guess I'm kind of a jack of all trades in this company, since I'm a chief operations officer, and that usually means like dabbling in a little bit of everything. So my main duty is, of course, ensuring that the company's day-to-day operations are running super smoothly, and that means that I have to dabble in HR, overseeing some production stuff, technical stuff. Also kind of a programmer from background, so that's a thing that I do. Some of the product decisions, actually, I try to involve myself in those as well sometimes. So jack of all trades, master of none,
Yeah, I
as they
mean
say.
that's the beauty of like a small studio, right? Like
Yeah,
everybody has more than one role, so you get used to it real quick. But yeah,
yeah,
super
definitely.
excited to have you here. So for those of you that are joining us, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, welcome. It's great to have you here. If you have any questions, because I know I can see some of you are in here, welcome. If you have any questions for Aarni that you want to ask about the games in general or the company, feel free to throw them into the chat and we will ask them towards the later part of the stream. And of course, because this is going to be an ongoing series, we're going to be having artists in, we're going to be having developers in, stuff like that. So, keep an eye out for those because, if you want to ask some artistry stuff, we'll have someone on at some point in the future for that. So feel free to throw your questions in and we'll ask them. If they're good, make them good, real good. Make them difficult. I want to see Aarni sweat a little bit. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's not
have,
hot enough yet here in Helsinki, so
it's true.
let's sweat it up a bit.
That is true. But yeah, well, we can get started because we have plenty of our own questions. And so let's kick it off with the first one. You have been around the industry for quite some time. You're a veteran of the industry, and you've worked previously at big established mobile game companies and stuff. So, and obviously you had worked previously with Galilee, our CEO. So
Yep.
how did Super Plus come about? Like what was it? Did you decide like, hey, we're going to make a game studio, or was it like an idea that came first? So how did the company come about?
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually Kalle had an idea of like founding a company, and I think that that idea like came about at really like the right time. So I think the time was right for us. We had the right idea for a company. We had the passion for it, for the idea, and also kind of both of us are sort of builders. We enjoy building things and taking the opportunity to like when you have like the right partner to just go ahead and build something from the really like the ground up and see all of the aspects that go into like making game business run and sort of building all those aspects from the ground up. That was kind of the it was the right time to do it.
Yeah, I think that happens for like most people. I think like after you spend like, especially a long period of time in one company. I know that I had the same thing myself. I spent 8 years at Unity, and at some point you just go, it's the right time. It's time to move on to something new, something fresh. And whenever you were deciding to move into this new studio and create Super Plus games, obviously you've created these casual multiplayer games. You didn't do like single player games. You created this casual multiplayer game. So was that the idea from the beginning, or was it something that just had come up with on the run?
I think the casual and social aspects have always been there, but over time, I think we've put more and more focus on that because I think that that's kind of our passion and that's our DNA and that's what we do best. So I think like to me personally, I think like to me games are best when they are experienced with other people. So however you can do that is better, and when the game itself is multiplayer, the kind of the immediacy of sharing that experience with others is like really high. And I think like some of my favorite memories from life in general are from like playing multiplayer games like when I was a teenager, like World of Warcraft, and playing that with friends like overly excessive hours and stuff like that. Just running around Azeroth and trying to find things. I think
Yeah.
that was kind of the moment that I figured out that like social gaming is actually the thing that should be done. And I think like in terms of games, those were like well the lineage of social and multiplayer gaming go far away, but that was the like the huge explosion when it became really mainstream. But I still think that we're kind of on the baby steps in social gaming. So we kind of want to make our own mark
Yeah.
and bring our own twist to the multiplayer experience. And yeah, I think it's just amazing, like seeing seeing what kind of a community you really grow when your game is multiplayer. So, for example, our Discord has been really like a
Yeah.
joy to like witness. Shout outs to everybody who's on Discord. We love you guys, and yeah, it's it's amazing.
Yeah, it is interesting that you bring that sort of stuff up because a lot of people particularly for us, we're a little older, so a lot of the younger gamers are just stepping right into this. For us, we sort of grew up into it, and a lot of them probably don't realize that the actual impact that those kind of things had. And I think that you said World of Warcraft, a key one. a lot of people don't realize that I probably wouldn't work in the industry and live in Finland because I met my wife who's Finnish through World of Warcraft by playing in the
Oh,
same
okay.
guild. So, it has like a lot of those impacts that
Awesome.
people don't realize. So yeah, that's yeah, I can fully agree to that one.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Yeah, I didn't know about that too. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool, actually. Yeah, that has happened to a lot of people through World of
yeah,
Warcraft, and yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely made an impact on my like friendships over the years as well. And that's kind of the power of gaming in general and multiplayer games.
yeah.
Those are actual real awesome memories that you share with people when you play with them. So it's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. So, speaking of the games, let's talk a little bit about the games themselves. So, Hills of Steel is one of our staples. Hills of Steel 1 was like the first success. So, where did the idea come from that? Was it like, hey, we're going to make a game about tanks? Or was it, we have this idea for a multiplayer game, but you didn't know that tanks were going to be it? So, was it like tanks idea first or concept first? Or how did the idea of that particular multiplayer in the form of Hills of Steel come about?
Um, yeah, that's a great question. Actually, usually these like come with a lot of like iteration. You have like a basic concept of something you want to do. In the case of like Hills of Steel 1, I think uh there was like the idea of doing like a very actiony game with some kind of vehicles, and we went through the idea went through cars and stuff like that at first, and the perspective changed a bit from the idea phase. But once we landed with like side scrolling and tanks, that was kind of something that wasn't in the market before. So it was kind of a new thing. And we thought that we could make it really like fun and make the wacky physics that the game is known for, and like have that sort of the great feel that the Hills of Steel team has actually like managed to capture in the game. I think that was the idea. And once we saw the like the first prototype for the game, we were just instantly sold. It was like that. We got to make this game. Uh,
Yeah, it's a little bit of a. What's interesting too is that I like that you say about the cars and other vehicles and stuff like that. Particularly when we like look at Hills of Steel 2. Trying to come up with different variations of tanks. It can be tricky, but like the guys that we work with and stuff like do an incredible job of being able to
yeah.
just warp a tank that usually has a typical look to it into something completely different.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how they do it. They're really our team is like filled with magicians who can like take the idea of the tank and make something like completely wild, like Arachno or like the Scorpion, or basically any of the tanks are really just like a really imaginative. They're kind of stretching almost the definition of a tank, but they're still like tanks. And the fact that they are like uh, very strongly like these characters, they have really a lot of personality is also like a really huge thing that I
Yeah,
like a lot.
that's an interesting thing. So the next question, let's talk about like the differences between the two of them. We have like a little video to show here. So like Hills of Steel 1, like when it launched, had this particular style, and then obviously Hills of Steel 2 released. Like a year or two later, but the art style sort of drastically changed. It became a more brighter, more colorful, not as sort of 2D style. So what was the decision behind that? Why not like make more like Hills Steel One? What sort of brought about this whole change to make it this more brighter, colorful kind of style?
Yeah, yeah. So when you like make a sequel, you always get this kind of dilemma of what do you do with the art style and what do you do with like basically any feature that's in the game. So you kind of start looking at do we want to do what we did before, or do we uh, want to do something different? Do we want to like try out something else? Since the game is a bit different from Heroes of Steel One, like it's the three versus three aspect, which is not something that's so much in Heroes of Steel One, and it's a bit different game. So we wanted to like find we wanted to find a way to like make this work in 3D and basically make a cartoony sort of very expressive style. So like I mentioned, the tanks are like these characters and they have a lot of personality. How do we do that in 3D? So that was kind of the challenge that was posed, and we did a lot of testing. There was a lot of like ideas thrown around, lot of concepts, and we just basically iterated on this as well. A lot of game making is about iterating on previous ideas and trying to make them better until we have something that's really like a polished diamond. So I think it was Hannu Leskinen, our amazing artist, who actually came up with the initial recipe of how we made the tanks and the environments for Hills of Steel 2. So shout outs to Hannu as well. And
Yeah.
after that, obviously, a lot of other artists have also contributed to the success of Hills of Steel 2 and how cool the game is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too where, whenever like working in the industry, people come along to you and they always say, check out this game. You're like, it's hyper realistic looking, and you're like, yeah, but it looks cool, but is it fun? Like, is it engaging? It's like, it's great that it looks amazing, but sometimes that's sort of like the fun element needs to be instilled into both the graphic and the gameplay as well, So
Yeah,
I think that Hills of Steel 2 one fits very nicely with its play style and what it is,
yeah, yeah. I think it's a good mixture for the fast-paced kind of fun action that's in Hills of Steel 2, and I think like what especially what we achieved with the tanks, they're so distinguishable from each other. That's really good uh, for the action that's in that game.
Yeah, definitely. So when coming up with all these ideas and all these games and stuff, obviously coming from bigger studios, and having lots of experience there, but going back into a startup, which is presumably at some point you were just a two-man team with you and Galway, and you had to build up from there, like how was that experience of going from a big studio into the startup thing? Because there are a lot of people out there that are like, I want to create a game studio, I want to do a startup, but sometimes there's challenges and not, so what's the advantage of going, or disadvantages going from big studio to startup, to begin again essentially?
Yeah, so that's part of the reason why we actually wanted to probably do it. So kind of embracing the challenges of looking at all of the things that you actually need to make like games run, and building those from the ground up. And it's really surprising actually when you come from a bigger studio and start your own smaller one, is how much stuff actually needs to be done to like make games operate. So a lot of the things that are kind of there, but it's not that obvious that they are there. So it's not just like programming and making cool tanks with the artists. It's also about buying the computers that the artists and programmers use. It's renting the office space. It's marketing the games. It's everything. There's so many things. Customer support is a big thing. Uh, Community management. Obviously, you need one of those. Uh, so kind of the big challenge is figuring out all of this stuff and when it has to be done. So kind of what's the stage when you bring in all of these people, and when do you stop doing it yourself, and how do you kind of organically try to grow the company in the same process, and at the same time like make uh, amazing games and support the players as best you can. So
Yeah.
that's a huge challenge.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting too, because when you sort of spread yourself across multiple roles too, you're trying to be focused on so many things. It's easy to miss like some things in one area, whereas if you brought a specialist in, they'd be like, oh, you need this and that, and you're like, so much easier kind of thing, But
Yeah.
obviously, you got to grow from the start, And but speaking of that, a question that comes up for a lot of people over the last while, and I'm sure it's had some part of an impact, is obviously the pandemic for the last almost 2 years, I think now at this point. It's had an impact on everyone. I think that those of us in the tech industry probably have not been hit as hard by it as some other industries. In fact, some, within the tech industry have seen a little growth and a little boost because of people are at home playing games and stuff like that. But when it comes to the pandemic, there's still the element of you got to hire people, you got to, do all these kinds of things. I'm like, I've been hired during the pandemic. We've met once, and then I haven't seen anyone else in the team at all. So it's a really different experience. So how has the whole situation impacted the company as a whole, from hiring, growing, pitting games out, and things like that?
Yeah, so obviously we went from a full-time office team to a full-time remote team, and that was kind of a kind of a big transition to make, and we had to make it happen in like a really small amount of time. But we were pretty lucky that everybody in the team like kind of knew what was going on and knew what they had to do. So I was kind of we were super lucky that our team was so good that they could actually execute on it so fast. So we had to like all of our daily routines. They went out of the window. And new ones came in, and we had to like adapt to new ones like super fast. And also like all of the meetings, everything, designing everything is a lot harder when you're not present with somebody. It's usually a
Yeah.
lot easier to like have these sort of design discussions and discussions about basically anything when you're live with somebody else. Uh, so those are kind of easy. But I'm actually surprised that in the end everything went pretty smoothly, and I think we operate really well remotely. Even it's just maybe the mental aspects of like you actually just want to get on and see people, talk to them face to face. That's the thing that I miss the most. That's the thing that's like grading on a day to day basis, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the hard thing in this. Uh, the job, everything about the job itself, I think it can be done remotely. There are some things that are definitely super a lot easier to do when you're face to face, and that those effects accumulate. So when communication is easier, everything else is easier as well. But we're
Yeah.
managing pretty well.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because that's something like I keep forgetting about all the time. It's like, sure, we don't see each other at the office kind of thing, whatever, but you keep forgetting about all the events, the E3s and
Oh yeah,
Gamescoms and stuff like that. Like, people keep forgetting that it's not, for a lot of like users, it's a spectacle to watch or stuff again, but to a lot of developers, it's a time to go there and show your game and shine and stuff like that. And
yeah.
without that, you're kind of missing an extra special. It's not necessary. You can still grow and do your work, but it is a nice little special thing.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing that I miss dearly, dearly, dearly. Like I really liked going to conventions and talking to other developers, since the game development community is kind of a big family in one sense. Everybody like likes to share ideas and talk to each other. That's the thing that I miss dearly. See, just seeing the people in the development community
Yeah.
is a big aspect.
Yeah. Okay. If anyone has any questions in the chat, now is going to be your last chance to ask any. So we'll give you a minute or two to get any questions in if you have any. I know Zombot in there has some questions more specific to artists. So yeah, stay tuned if you want to ask artist questions. We'll have more, or someone at least. We have some incredible
Yep.
artists. So yeah, they'll be able to definitely answer some really interesting questions that you all have. So while we're waiting for the last minute or two to see if any questions roll in, um, what's been your most fun moment in creating these Hills of Steel games? There's because there's always, when you create games, there's always that one moment where you go, "This is it. This is why I'm happy that I'm doing this thing." So what do you have? I'm putting you on the spot right now to come up with something.
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and that's also a hard question to
Yeah.
answer because like I think I'll might have like 100 of those if I really like dig in deep to my memories. I think some of the highlights are revealing Hills of Steel 1 on stage. That was really fun. That was kind of a kind of an awesome stepping stone for our company. So like actually launching Heroes of Steel 1, uh, that was huge. And when we actually launched it, we got a lot of players and so started getting like feedback from everybody. And there are so many players in Heroes of Steel 1 that you really got a really huge volume of like feedback from players, and that felt so amazing to me. So seeing how people actually interact with the game, some of the fan art that people send to us, I
Yeah,
just love that so much.
yeah,
Like people have made like these snowman tanks, and
yeah.
people have done like super awesome. Like there was a video just now that somebody posted, kind of a meme video that was super funny.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I love. I think probably because I'm a community manager, so I'm exposed to this stuff more. But that's
yeah,
what I love to see. Like the fan arts are great, and then like the videos that they're coming up with is fantastic. And if all of you out there have that kind of thing, join our Discord. It's going to be our new home for Super Plus game stuff. And we love hearing from you. We love hearing your different ideas, seeing all your fan arts and videos that you create. It's at the end of the day, it's why we do this. For you guys to have fun, and then
yeah.
but
Definitely for me, it's like from the fans. Like
yeah,
when I see fans engaging and liking what we do, that's the best thing for me.
yeah, for sure.
That kind of makes it worthwhile for me to do this in any case.
So, okay, Zomba does have a quick question, but I think that's one I can answer. How do people send their fan art? Do they use the Discord or send them in or do them on Instagram? So there's two different ways that you can. You can uh, join our Discord. There is a link to it below. There is a channel specifically for fan art that you can share stuff in, and then we take a look through it. And the other way is to emailing it into us. I think at some point we should probably just create an email specifically for fan art. But yeah, you can email it into us as well. But yeah, any way that we get it is fine. We look at all of them for sure because we truly appreciate them. And then if you do send in your fan art, there is a chance that we will feature it on our social media. So, feel free to claim some glory by sending in your
Yeah.
great fan arts. And okay, in that case, we have one final question then to wrap this up, and that's the what's next. Is there anything that you can reveal about what's next for Super Plus games? Is everything secret? Is it under wraps?
Well, there are definitely things happening. So in addition to Hills of Steel, something's gonna splash really soon. Uh, but I'm just gonna keep you in the tease just for a little bit
Yeah, a
more.
little bit longer. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but maybe something will start dripping in a while.
yeah, so that sounds interesting for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Thank you very much, Aarni, for taking the time to sit down with us today. And for everyone that was here in the stream, we truly appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have a lot more of these coming. We'll be sitting down with the developers, with artists and stuff like that. If you want to check out our other streaming content and stuff like that on Twitch and YouTube, we're doing Tank Tuesdays and Thursdays where we play the games and various other pieces of content, So thanks for being here. We truly appreciate it. We will see you the next time for the next Super Insider. No idea who it'll be yet, but it'll be someone, so keep an eye peeled and follow all our social media so that you can keep up to date with everything. And that's it from me. Any final words, Aarni?
Uh, my final words are pretty much as yours. Thank you for everyone for watching, whether it's now live or whether it's later. Thank you for being here, and obviously, thank you for the questions. And also, if you have any other questions, you can leave a comment in the YouTube video. I can probably get some time to answer those questions if you have any later on after the video has ended. So you
All
can
right,
do that.
fantastic.
But otherwise, thank you everybody, and thank you to our community for being here and supporting us.
Yes, indeed. It's very much appreciated. But that's going to be it. Thanks everyone for being here. We will see you in the next time. And in the meantime, have fun in the games.
All right. Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.